Your grandmother keeps cash hidden in the house. Not in a wallet, not in a drawer. Hidden. Behind picture frames, inside coat pockets she hasn't worn in 30 years, under mattresses. You've probably laughed about it, maybe even found it strange. But here's what nobody told you about that hidden cash. It isn't quirky. It isn't old-fashioned. It's fear. Frozen in time. From a world where banks collapsed overnight, where families woke up one morning with nothing, where another child watched their father stand in a breadline and learned one lesson so deeply it rewired their entire relationship with money for the rest of their life. Never trust a system that can disappear before breakfast. That hidden cash isn't savings, it's a scar. And here's the thing, you have one too. Yours just looks different. Every generation alive right now, silent generation, boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, has a completely different relationship with money. Not because of personality, not because some generations are smarter or more disciplined, but because each generation was shaped by a specific financial trauma at exactly the age when their brain was learning what money means and what it can do to you. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why your parents handle money the way they do, why you handle it the way you do, and why every fight about money between generations is really two different wounds arguing about whose scar hurts more. Let's start with your grandparents. The silent generation grew up in a world defined by war, depression, and scarcity. The Great Depression, from 1929 to 1939, raised them in poverty, learning the value of frugality and self-reliance in a world where jobs were scarce and families relied on whatever they could hold on to. Think about what that does to a child's brain. You are 6 years old and you watch your parents lose everything. Not gradually, overnight. The bank closes, the money is gone, the savings gone, and the lesson your brain records permanently is this: money is not real until it is in your hand. Systems fail, paper fails, people fail. The only thing you can trust is what you can physically touch and hide. Growing up with nothing during the Great Depression, the silent generation treated debt like a four-letter word. They paid cash, saved before buying, and warned their children that easy credit would become a dangerous trap. That grandmother with the hidden cash, she's not being irrational. She is the most rational person in the room for the world she survived. The problem is, she never got permission to leave that world behind. The boomers inherited the silent generation's fear and then watched it dissolve. Because the world they grew up in was different. Post-war America was booming. Jobs were everywhere. Houses were affordable. The middle class was real and expanding. And the boomers made the only conclusion possible. If you work hard enough, the system rewards you. Boomers learned frugality through real economic trauma. They came of age during oil crises, double-digit inflation, and interest rates so high that their mortgages could have been drafted to fight in Vietnam. But homes were more affordable relative to wages, and one income often covered a household. So the boomer relationship with money became this: work is the answer. Discipline is the answer. If you're struggling financially, you're not working hard enough. This belief wasn't arrogance, it was evidence-based for their world. The problem is, they passed this belief to their children as if the world would stay the same. It didn't. Gen X watched the boomer promise start to crack. They came of age in the 1980s, when the economy shifted, factories closed, and the job security their parents had promised started quietly disappearing. Only 19% of baby boomers and 17% of Gen Z feel financially worse off than their parents. But 35% of Gen X and 33% of millennials feel that way. Gen X became the generation of financial self-reliance, not because they were given tools, but because no one was coming to help them. They learned to hustle quietly, multiple income streams before it had a name, side jobs before the gig economy existed, saving because they genuinely did not trust that anyone, not the government, not a corporation, not a pension, would be there when they needed it. The Gen X relationship with money is simple. Depend on no one. Build your own safety net. Trust nothing you didn't build yourself. Sounds exhausting? It is. And then came millennials. The generation that did everything right, went to college, got the degree, followed every instruction, and walked directly into the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. Millennials entered adulthood during the Great Recession and were between the ages of 5 and 20 when 9/11 happened. Statistically, millennials don't have, and aren't projected to have, the wealth of older generations. and they feel that. Millennials walked straight from high school and college into the Great Recession. They coped with instability by upgrading the small things, because the big things felt permanently out of reach. That is the most important sentence in this entire video. Read it again. They upgraded the small things because the big things felt permanently out of reach. The coffee, the brunch, the small treat. Not because millennials are irresponsible, but because when your brain decides homeownership is impossible, when your nervous system has accepted that retirement is a fantasy, the only financial pleasure left is the one that fits in your hand right now. Boomers called it avocado toast. Psychologists call it learned helplessness. And Gen Z watched all of this in real time, on a screen, before they were old enough to have a bank account. 73% of Gen Z experienced negative feelings, anxiety, or actual flashbacks when dealing with financial issues. For many, it is not just money stress, it is actual financial trauma. The triggers are everywhere. Student loan payments, rent increases, job insecurity, watching peers seemingly succeed while you struggle, and social media amplifies all of it. 72% of Gen Z say societal pressures contribute to their financial stress. 59% of Gen Z experience financial anxiety, compared to just 29% of baby boomers. Gen Z's relationship with money isn't laziness, it isn't entitlement. It's a generation that learned about money through crisis content, recession videos, inflation TikToks, housing market horror stories, before they ever earned their first paycheck. Their financial trauma arrived before their financial life even began. So here's what every generational money fight is actually about. Your silent generation grandparent hoarding cash is a 6-year-old watching a bank collapse. Your boomer parent telling you to just work harder is someone who genuinely watched hard work pay off and cannot understand why the world stopped keeping that promise. Your Gen X boss who trusts no one financially is a kid who learned the hard way that no safety net was coming. Your millennial friend buying the small coffee is someone whose nervous system gave up on the big things a long time ago. And your Gen Z coworker with financial anxiety before they've even started is a generation that inherited 4 different financial traumas at once before they ever learned to balance a checkbook. None of these are personality flaws. All of these are wounds, shaped by specific moments in specific economies at exactly the age when a brain is learning what safety feels like. The next time you judge how someone else handles money, ask yourself first, what did they survive that taught them this? Because the answer, always, changes everything. Drop your generation in the comments and tell me one money habit you have that you know came from your family. Just one. Because I guarantee it didn't start with you.